All right. Had to hit the record button to get it going. So we are officially going, and let's get started. There we go. All right, gang, I'm Rob with Campus Contact, and I am going to be working off of a new training outline today, so hopefully it'll go well. I've got some good feedback from the previous ones that I moved way too fast. So we're going to be training in two different segments. We're going to do just a high-level overview in this training, and in the next one we're going to do a deep dive, really digging into some of the modules and some of the more detailed functions. So in this training, it's really going to be about high-level overview of where everything is and what it does and how to access everything. So let's dive right in. So Campus Contact used to be School Desk. It is now Campus Contact with a brand new name and pretty logo and a really awesome new system. The new system has a ton of big advantages, and it's really, really cool. So we're going to dive right into it. With your old sites, you used to scroll to the bottom of your page and you would click login. Well, we found that a million kids would want to click that login and just bang on it all day long, and it really created some potential issues. So we've moved the logins completely off the websites. There is no longer a login button on your website, and nor will there be. Instead, you just have to remember that when you want to manage your website, you're going to go to admin.campuscontact.com. When you go to admin.campuscontact.com, that's where you will be greeted with this lovely little login area, and you'll be able to put in your email address and your password. So again, remember, it's not at the bottom. We're already getting lots of people asking, where's my login link? It's not gone. It's just not there. It's not missing. It's just not supposed to be there anymore. Instead, you have to just remember, go to admin, because you're going to administer your website. Go to admin.campuscontact.com, and then you can log in. So I'm going to put in my demo account, and I'm logged in. So when I'm first logged in, I'm taken to my dashboard, and this dashboard will show you all of the websites that you have access to manage. Now, if you only have access to manage one site, you'll only see one. If you're a district administrator and you have 10 or 20 sites under you, then you'll see all of them here, and you can quickly jump over to any of the websites to edit, view, see the stats, and other things. So while we're here in our dashboard, we'll take a look at some of the things we can do. Of course, we can click on the edit button, and that will take us into the edit mode of the website. We'll do that in just a minute. And we can also click on the preview button. Just launches a quick preview of the website so that you can see it in the different modes. And yes, this is a blank website that we'll be working on shortly, so there's really nothing to see there yet. But the preview button just gives you a quick glance at how it's going to look, and you can, of course, jump into the different device modes to see how it's going to look on the different kinds of devices. So it's kind of a nice little cool tool just to quickly see it. You also have a stats option, and in the past you've had to use Google Analytics. Well, we don't use Google Analytics anymore unless you really want to, which we certainly can. However, we have our own stats functions built right into the website. So it's just automatic, and you have it right there when you log into your dashboard. And you can see the stats for any of the sites just by clicking on the stats button. Now, of course, this being a demo site, there's not a whole lot of stats here because it's kind of hidden actually. But we can see all kinds of traffic. We can break it down by desktop, tablet, or mobile. You can even download this in a PDF format if you want to share it with others, do reports, whatever you can do. You'll see a lot of different traffic. You can see visits, views and visits. You'll see it across any time span, so you can manage what date range you want to see them in. You can also see different kinds of engagement, different types of data, what pages they went to, specifically what page, lots of page details, as well as the sources. Where do they come from? Where are these people getting to your website from? That's going to be important for you in terms of SEO if you're using any specific search engine optimization terms or key terms, such as myschool.com, and you really want to get that out there. You might want to use your school district name and put that in your SEO. We'll talk about SEO shortly as well. You can also see the browser and the operating systems that are used. Of course, I only use Chrome. I highly recommend Chrome. It's not the only browser that will work with our system, but it's definitely the best. You can use Firefox, and Good Lord, if you have to, you can use IE or the other new iteration of IE. I forgot what they call it. But if you have to, good luck. It does work, but I just pity you if you have to. Geolocation, you can do that as well and see exactly where all your visitors are coming from. And if you have any insight personalization engagement, which we'll talk about that as well, then you can see the traffic going to that. Whereas you can create different messages like school is closed today, or maybe a pop-up that's for registration for an event or buying yearbooks or whatever. You can see how many people have seen the pop-up, the personalization piece, how many people clicked on it, and what kind of action was done through it. So there's a lot that you can do in here through insight, personalization, engagement kind of thing. Again, you can also use the month and the calendar to select any specific date ranges. So that's pretty cool that it's all built right into your website. You don't really have to do anything such as adding Google Analytics anymore. It's done for you. So the very last item over here is your form responses. In the past, you had to go to every single form to find the form responses. And if you wanted to see them all, you had to go to each form. Now this one doesn't actually have any, but I can show you what it looks like. Actually, should have done that already. So if we go to one of our other sites, for example, and we go to form responses, we can see that all of our forms are lumped into one easy place. So if you have 100 forms in your website, you don't have to go to 100 places now to get all the results. Go to one place and they're all cumulatively right there in one big spot, so you can see them all. So it's pretty cool that now everything is in one simple location and you can get to all of your forms in one place just by clicking the little form responses icon over here on the far right. There are going to be some other options that'll drop down for different level users. For the average site administrator, you're going to just see form responses, and as we add more features and functions, they'll probably be hidden under here. So that's pretty much it for your dashboard. You do have a search option if you have a whole lot of sites, like if you're 70 or 80 districts or 80 schools, and you want to find one specific school, you can do that by keyword search. Obviously, for most users, that's not going to be an issue because you're only going to have one or a few sites you can manage. The last thing up here is at the far right, and that is your personal account information, where you can manage your name, your email address, your own password. You can also change the language of the editor. Now, this is not changing the language in the website for the public. This is for you personally as a user. If you speak Portuguese, go for it. Change it in Portuguese mode, and the entire editor itself will be in whatever mode or language you select. Last, of course, don't forget to click the sign out. It will leave you logged in for 24 hours. So we heard from a lot of folks in the past that they really hated being bumped after 30 minutes. So we bumped it up to 24 hours. So the good side is that you won't get bumped out every half an hour. However, the danger side is if you're doing this in your classroom and you're working on your website and you forget to sign out, others can just jump on your computer and help you out with your website, which may not be a good thing. So that may not be the best option. And last, of course, is you have a lot of help, which this help link is in multiple places, but there's a help center. That's that little question mark at the top right-hand corner. Click on that, and that will take you to the help center, where you can find a lot of information about how to use the website. Much, much more than what I can cover today. But everything you'll need to know is right there in that help area. So let's jump into our website and start editing and learn about the new system. To do that, I'm just going to click the edit button. You can also just click right on your website picture there, but I'm just going to click the edit button. Excuse me. And now I'm logged in and in the edit mode by default on my new website. And we're going to use Mayville Community Schools as an example, just because it's the last one I was working on. So your website your design will already be done for you by the time we hand it over to you. You'll be able to get in and manage literally every single aspect of the website. Whereas you used to have to ask us to do little things like change out my logo. Well, now you can do that yourself. You'll just be able to click on it and change your own logo. So it's pretty cool. You have a lot more control now than you ever did before. However, that comes with a caveat. Because you have more control now, you also have more responsibility, meaning that you can break more things, and so we'd like you not to. So we're going to show you how to do lots of stuff. We're going to show you that there are things in your site that you can do, but there's also some things we don't want you to do. So it's your responsibility to not break your site. There is an undo option now where we can roll your website back quickly to any previous version. However, that does wipe out all the work that you've done after that point. So if you go in there and you blow it all up, we can roll it back, no worries. We can always restore it to any previous version, but it will undo your work. So again, I'm going to show you some of the things to do and some of the things not to do, and some of the areas you may or may not want to play around in. So let's start at the top. First, we have our link, our campus contact here at the black bar at the top. We also have a drop-down that lets you quickly jump to any page in your website. Now, this page or this site doesn't have any pages yet. We're going to add some in a few minutes. But if you have a big website with a whole lot of pages, sometimes it's just easier to hit them all here in a little drop-down, which is the equivalent of going to the old page manager that we used to have. We still have one. But some people really like just a quick and dirty drop down and jump over to a page. Of course, you can also get to any page by clicking it in the navigation, so you don't necessarily have to use that. Also next to that are the different modes, so we can see it in different, how it's going to look on different devices. So by default, you're in the desktop view mode. If you click on the tablet view mode, we'll jump over and see how it looks in a tablet. Again, this is just a blank site. We're going to add some stuff to it. Or if you click on the the mobile view mode, you can see how it's going to look on a cell phone. So it's kind of nice to be able to quickly see exactly how it's going to look on any device. So we can tell exactly how it's going to look as you're moving stuff around. You can say, oh, that looks awesome on my desktop. How does it look on a cell phone? Ooh, it's a little too big or too small, or stuff's hanging off the side. There's ways to manage stuff like that. So we can quickly see it now. A little further to the right, we've got a search option. It's a new and experimental piece, and it basically just lets you search anything in an editor. So if you're looking for iframe, you just type, the letter I, and there it is. So it lets you do quite a few things, quick access. It's a new tool that we're experimenting with. Hope you'll like it. Just a real quick jump out to almost anything. Next to that is the info and tools. This is an area where we can see the name of your website. For example, mine is just training.campuscontact.com. We can also change that URL. So a lot of times you're going to want to use your school's name, such as colquitt.k12.ga.us or whatever your specific domain is. You can change that URL yourself, or we can do that for you. When you do change that, it of course requires you on your DNS side in your old website manager, domain manager, to change your DNS to point to your new website. So that's something we can help you out with as well if you need to. I can see the status of this website is published. You can unpublish your website, so you can take it down totally, or actually your administrators can, but this website is published. There's a preview link you can share. So sometimes you may want to make a change to your website that maybe you're not ready for it to be seen by the world. Well, you can share a preview link of your website to anyone you want. Just click on this, copy it, and they can then paste it in a browser and see how your website looks. So it's kind of cool that you can make lots of changes before the rest of the world sees it, and you can share that before it actually goes live. So it just gives you a chance to make sure everybody's happy with it before it goes live. Just like we had on the dashboard, we have a link to the stats. Just a quick look at your stats. How many visits were last week, page views. And again, if you want to get back into the real stats like we were a minute ago, you just click open stats and it takes you right back to there. So it's just a quick shortcut to your stats. Again, the editor language also has another shortcut. If you want to change it to Spanish or Deutsch or whatever language you'd like, you can do that in here. So again, so this is just a kind of a reiteration of some of the things that you saw on the dashboard. So you don't have to jump out to the dashboard to get to some of these things. You'll see a little check here. It says all changes saved. That's going to change from some little dots to a check mark as you go out and add content to your site, because everything is auto-saved now. So you don't have to click update, and you don't have to wait for the page to refresh all the time. That doesn't happen at all. you can add and build your whole website out, your whole page out, and it will never have to refresh once because we don't do that anymore. It's much easier, much faster, and no more of that whole page reload nonsense. So it's so much faster. There's a really good do and undo option. So anything you do, you can hit the undo and just back it out. So if you mess up something, don't worry about it. Hit your undo button and you can go back. It will actually go back about 100 steps. So if you get through your page and you're adding all kind of stuff and you look back and you said, oh, I did something wrong a little while ago. Well, you can hit your undo and it'll go back a whole bunch, as much as you need. And it can undo whatever it did whatever it was that you did a while ago. Likewise, of course, you can go forward to redo any last edits that you may have done. So if you go back too far, you hit forward and redo, and now you can get some of those changes back. You also have a preview option that lets you see the site, how it's going to look in the real world and how it's going to be in the editor mode. The real difference is that if you're in the editor mode, as I'm mousing over things, you'll see I get all these little boxes and things around it. Maybe you don't want to be able to click on things and edit mode. So to really see how it's going to look and feel, go to preview mode, and you see all those lines go away. And now we can see and click on stuff so we can see exactly how it's going to work for the real world, as opposed to being in editor mode when you get all these different little options and boxes around everything. And I'll show you what all those boxes do shortly as well. And then we have a republish button. So instead of clicking the save button and update button all the time like you used to have to do, you do it once. And we call that to republish your site. So you can make 1,000 changes, add a bunch of pages, a bunch of modules, all kinds of cool stuff, and photos and videos and lots of content, add all kinds of stuff, and a page never refreshes, has to do anything at all. But that content's not live until you hit the republish button. So it's the equivalent of you hitting the save button in the past. So if you make 1,000 changes to your website and you just log out, all that information is saved. It's automatically saved indefinitely, automatically all the time. However, if you go look at your website and you don't see all those changes, that's because you didn't hit the republish button. So it's going to be really important for you to get in the habit of hitting the republish button after you've made all of your changes, or those changes just won't be seen. And you're going to be going, well, I just added a bunch of new stuff. Where is it? It's still there. You just didn't publish it. So make sure to hit the republish button. Next to that is our help link again. That's the same help that we saw a minute ago, where we can go in here and we can see a lot of information about all the stuff I'm going to cover and even more. And next to that, of course, is your back to your dashboard. Takes you back out so you can jump out to another website. So let's go back into our site here in edit mode. And that's everything across the top. Let's look down the side. And we've got some options on the side here that we're going to go into. But I want to let you know that there are some that you're not going to want to change, even though you'll have access to them. So we're just going to ask you not to make some changes to them. But this is where the real magic happens on the left side. And this is where you're going to spend the bulk of your time adding widgets and managing your content, maybe even creating a school store, working on your blog and adding pages and all kind of fun stuff. So this is what we're going to do on the left. Let's start at the top. And the very first one is our design mode, or design button. And this is the one where I want to ask you not to make any changes. There are lots of things we can change in here, but I think you don't need to. Most folks will like you not to do that, especially most of your district administrators, because we've designed your website for you already. So we've set up your header and your colors and your fonts and all the cool stuff that you're going to need to do. It's done for you. In fact, we did that in the design button, design area, where we set up your global text, for example, and your text size and your styles and fonts. We also designed your buttons in here so we can see how your buttons are going to look. In here we can also determine how your photos are going to look on the page. Are they going to have a border? Are they going to be rounded? Maybe have a shadow? Are we going to round every single photo that's added? Probably not. So we can do a lot of different stuff in there in the design area, but you don't need to do that. So just as a favor to all of us and the folks at your district, we just recommend and please ask that you don't make changes in the design area. Even though you have access to it, it doesn't really mean you should. You can access your engine in your car, but most of you probably shouldn't. And likewise here, this is the it's not the engine, but it is the overall look and feel of your website. And again, just don't poke around in there too much. If you do mess it all up, we do have an undo. It's the restoration of your site, but it will also roll it back to back before you messed it all up, and you'll wind up losing any changes that you made since then as well. So again, just don't poke around in the design area too much. The rest of it's totally fine. So let's talk about pages. This is your page manager where we can add new pages. We can delete pages. We can change page settings, page SEO, and lots of other stuff. So we can create all kinds of stuff. Well, let's go add some pages just so you get a feel for it. We've already added a home page, and you cannot delete the home page. So that's a nice new safety feature. You can, however, get into the settings of it. And every page that you add will have a little icon on the right. We call it the gear icon or the settings icon. And if you click on that, you'll see some options come up. So we can rename that. It doesn't have to be home. Just click on that and we can give it a new name. Or if we click on it, we can hide it. Maybe you're going to have some pages that are hidden in navigation. It's very common. Not everything has to be in the navigation all the time. You might have things that are just, you might have buttons that take you to various pages in your site to pages that aren't in the navigation. It's extremely common. Or maybe you'll have pages that just aren't pertinent to now. Maybe an annual SAT page or a study guide page somewhere that you only want to turn on at certain times. Well, you can hide it just by clicking hide on all, and nobody can see it. It's still there. You'll see it here in your page list, but at least you can hide a page from anyone at any time. Now, there's also some things that just don't work well on tablets or mobile. Or maybe you want to do a specific marketing push to just mobile or just tablets. So you can hide it from different devices as you see fit. So that's kind of nice. You can also duplicate any page, and it will automatically duplicate everything on that page. So you don't have to tell it, manually select all these certain things to do it. Just click duplicate, and it will duplicate the entire page. There's also an SEO option for every page. And while there's a global SEO option, it's also wise to take a minute and set up the page SEO, where you can, and SEO stands for search engine optimization. And that's where Google and Yahoo and Bing and the other search engines out there will find your website and the various pages in it. Now, first off is that you have the option to block search engines from crawling any specific page. So if you have a page with maybe teacher or student specific information or just something that you don't want to be crawled, that's at the top because you can simply turn it off, and now the search engines will not see that page. So it allows you to hide that page. For most of your pages, you're going to just leave it alone and add a page title and a page description. Page title can be welcome to our school, whatever your name is, such and such school name. And your page description is, this is the home page of our new school website. And you probably want to put the school name in there. So that's just your page description. Although page keywords is there, Google no longer looks at page keywords. So it's kind of an irrelevant area now. You can add some specific keywords. Bing and Yahoo may consider them, but it's really become optional. So it's kind of going obsolete. You can set a password to any page. So if you're going to have an intranet type page that's maybe just for teachers or a group of pages, you can set a password for that so that they can only enter it or access that page with the password. A little further down is the header HTML. You'll find this useful if you're trying to register your site with Google, for example, where they give you a little HTML code to add to your homepage. Well, now you can just do that. You'll copy that little code and paste it right in here, hit the paste, and click save, and then go back to Google, and it'll verify ownership of the page. So it's really easy to do that now. We've made that much easier. So that's the page SEO area of your page. And again, I really, really recommend that you take a minute after your site is built and just go back through and manage the page SEO. And notice I keep stressing page SEO because there's also website SEO, which is at the global level, which applies it to every single page. So it's sometimes good. especially if you really want to be found under certain keywords, to change your SEO at the page level. So let's add some pages. To add a page, we just click New Page, and there's your page. Now we've done something new in that we have lots of different pre-designed pages for you. Like if you want to add an About Us, we've got a really cool one out there. Nice templates that you can start with. There's also some team pages. If you're going to do something, maybe a portfolio page about your staff, it's there. You want to do a cafeteria menu, maybe a page with all of your school locations, contact us page, maybe something about what your school does and all the things you guys do there. A different kind of portfolio page, maybe for sports or band or whatever it is. There's also one for different projects, different things coming up, and a big landing page if you want to create a landing page. So we've got all these different templates, and they're really nice. Basically, you can just add one and go in and edit the content. We'll show you how to do that in the next training session. Right now, we're just really high-level overview, but just know that you can apply any of these different template styles to create a new page. And it doesn't have to be an About Us. You know, if you're going to use, let's say you want to use the About Us template because you like the way that looks, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to call it About Us. It can be used for all kinds of things. You can say this is our department, or whatever it is, and you can, of course, make it your own. So it's a really quick way to create a great looking page at a glance, and then it really just kind of gives you a head start so that you don't have to create the whole thing from scratch. Kind of makes it easy for you. Now there's 3 of them I didn't touch, and those are going to be the main 3 that you're going to be adding. So primarily you're going to start with a blank page. Of course, a blank page is just that. It's a blank page and there's nothing on it. A page URL is the kind of page that sometimes you'll use it to link out to, say, a third-party website for PowerSchool or for a state educational page or whatever it might be. So if you're going to have a link in your menu that just, when they click on it, instead of staying in your website, it will jump them out to another URL. That's where your page URL option comes in. And then last is sometimes you'll have a group of pages. We call this folder pages. So you have a group of pages, so let's say under departments. And under departments, you might have HR and the math department and sports and history and, I don't know, all kind of different departments under there. Well, you can click on each of those departments to go directly to the department information, but the actual department page is kind of blank because it's just a placeholder. That's what your folder page is. It's just a placeholder. It won't let you actually get to that page, but it creates a page placeholder so that you can put other pages under it. And we'll go through that and show you how all those work. For now, let's just create a blank page and we'll start from there. So click on blank page, give your page a name. I call it my new page. You can always come back and change this at any time. Just click add a page and there's your new page. And you'll see that it's automatically added in the menu. If we want to hide this, again, we can go back to pages and we can click on the icon on the right, the gear icon, and we can hide it in all devices. And now you'll see that it's no longer there in the menu, but it's still in my pages drop down. I can click that icon again, that gear icon, and show it on all devices, and now it comes right back. So we can do that. We can also drag and drop pages. So to change the sort order, it's real simple matter of just dragging it and moving it up, changing the order. You can also make it a child page so that if you want my new page to be under your home page, all you have to do is drag it to the right a little bit, and you'll see how it kind of highlighted that black area, that dark area. Now it's under home. So there's my new page. If you want to take it back out, just go back here and drag it back to the left, and now it's on its own as a separate page. So moving the pages around has become so much easier. It's quick and simple. The page doesn't reload, and it's really just a matter of just drag and drop and change your orders. So it's really, really cool and really, really easy to manage your pages. Once I've added a blank new page, of course, I can start adding content to that, which we'll do in just a minute. But let's add a few more page types just so we can get familiar with that. So I'm going to go back to pages, and let's add another new page. We'll use that page URL that we talked about. So we're going to add a page URL. We'll call this one PowerSchool. And maybe that's going to go to powerschool.com, I think it is. And there's my PowerSchool page, my URL page. And I can tell that it's a URL page because it actually adds a little external URL link, little icon right there, a little globe that shows me at a glance what kind of page this is. If I find that my URL doesn't work, I can click on that gear icon and I can go back in and I can edit that URL to be whatever I want it to be. Now, by default, all links to third-party websites and to documents open in a new window, which is ideal and the preferred way to meet ADA guidelines. However, if you want to override that for whatever reason, you can do that by unchecking it and not having it open in a new window. But we're going to leave it on, and I recommend that you leave it on all the time as well. So let's test it and see if it works. Well, while we're in edit mode, if I click it, kind of hard to do. It'll just give me a little pop-up saying, hey, this is going to open up in a new tab. And you can say, okay, I got it. You don't have to do anything with it. You just say, all right, at least I know it's going to open in a new window. Or if you want to test it and make sure it actually works, you can click on open in a new tab, make sure that it actually does work. And yes, powerschool.com is the right URL. And then now I'm linked out to it. I can close that because I know that it's going to automatically open in a new window, so I'm going to be taken back to my other page. And that's really the main reason you want to always leave it as opening in a new window or a new tab, just because it just makes it easier for your users, so that if it was on the same tab and they're finished reading it, they'll generally just close that tab, and now there's no way back to where they came from, and then they have to open another tab and navigate back to it, and it's just a big headache. So I would really recommend that you always leave it as open in a new window. Now you can also do this in the preview mode, and it's just a little quicker and easier. Now, when your website is published, you're not going to see that little pop-up. That's only for you as an administrator while you're in edit mode or in preview mode. So again, the rest of the world's not going to see that. That's only you seeing that because you're still logged into the website. Once it's pushed live by me hitting the republish button, which I'll do now just to demonstrate. There, my site's been republished. If I go to training.campuscontact.com, I'll see my new page there. And if I click on my PowerSchool link, of course, it just takes me right out to my website as expected, and I don't get that little pop-up. But while we're working on our website, we do get that little pop-up. So don't be alarmed by that. It's just a quick way of saying, hey, this is going to open an external link. And you can say, okay, I got it. Or just click it and go to it. So let's go add another kind of page to our website. And that's that folder page I told you about. So this might be departments. Let's call that departments. And click add page. And maybe we'll want to add our departments too. So let's add some blank pages for everybody. So we'll call this one human resources. We'll add one for band because I am a band nerd. And we'll add another one just for the fun of it for choir. I don't know why, but yeah, it just popped into my head. So we'll do choir. Now we want all these, instead of being on their own, we want them to be under departments. To do that, we're just going to drag them because we know that all we have to do to make them a child page is drag it to the right of the page above it. And now it will be under departments. So now they're all under departments. Now let's go back into preview mode so we see what happens. If I click on band, choir, or human resources, I'm taken to that page. And I can tell that, of course, this right now they're all blank, but I can really tell by looking up at the URL, I can see that we're now at band, and we're, of course, in the preview mode. And so I can jump over to any of these other pages while in preview mode. But if I click on departments, departments isn't really a functional page. It's just a placeholder, and it's just there to demonstrate that it's holding the place for all of these other pages. Another good example of that one would be, here's a sample site that's live, and for example, across the top, maybe they've got admissions and academics and all these different things. Well, admissions is not a functional page. It's just a page holder, a placeholder, the folder type page that holds all of these other things under it. So it's not an actual functional page. Sometimes that kind of confuses people, but again, it's just a placeholder, not an actual accessible page where you're going to add content. So not to beat that to death, but that's the folder page. So let's go back in and add some other pages. Maybe we want to add some of those cool style pages that we saw a while ago. Maybe an About Us page. Let's add that, About Us. And maybe we'll just quickly build out our site by adding, how about a portfolio or our team? I like that one. We'll call this staff if we want. And so you can see we can quickly add lots of different pages to our site. And we can see that it's already populated with all kinds of stuff. Obviously, this isn't going to be your staff. So to change this, all we'll have to do is click on, go back to my staff page. All we have to do is click on an item. Let's say we want to change this guy. We'll just click on it. And now we can quickly change that photo to whoever it needs to be. Maybe it's her. She's the, oh, I see. We'll change that to her instead. And we'll change this one to somebody else. So we'll get into editing later on, and we'll show you how to do these different things. But that's going to really be in session 2 later on this afternoon, where we're going to talk about editing content. But I just really wanted to show you the advantage of using these pre-styled pages, like the About Us page and the staff page, because it just really makes it quick and easy for you. Now that you've added some content to your page, all you have to do is click on it and change the verbiage and make it your own. Maybe click on it and change the photo and make it your own. So it's really cool that the template pages have saved you a lot of time and trouble, because now you can really make it whatever you want in just a few seconds. And now it's a completely different page, and we can change styles and colors and fonts and all kind of fun stuff. And we'll show you all of that in the second training. But just know that these pre-styled pages are a lot of fun, and they really do make your life a whole lot easier, really quick and easy. So those are your different pages. Well, let's talk about the widgets over here on the left-hand side. As we go down this left-hand bar, which is primarily what we're going to focus on in this training class, we're going to talk about widgets. We used to call them modules, and I'm going to go to a blank page to show you. But if we go to widgets, here's all the different stuff we can do to our website. We can add text and images and sliders and links and calendars and columns and all kinds of cool stuff. And it's a growing list all the time of things that we can add to your website. So there's a lot of stuff in here, and we're certainly not going to have time to go into all of them. But in the second training class, we are going to focus on them, on quite a few of them. But you'll see there's a lot of things we can add to your website quickly and easily. And just like in our old system, where you can simply drag something out to the page, that's what we're going to do. We're going to add some text, which is the most common. Just simply drag it down to the page, and anywhere on the blank page, and you get this little pop-up. That little pop-up allows, that's your text editor now. And here is my new content. Just type on the page and you're done. Click the little green check and it's there, it's live. Again, there is no save button because everything's automatically saved. And you can just go back and add another widget. You want to add a calendar, drag it to the page. I want you to add some events. We'll just skip that for now. Here's our calendar. If you wanted to add a Google Calendar or a Facebook feed or whatever it is you want to add, you can simply just drag it to the page and you're there. So here we'll add a photo slider. We'll add that one in there. Here's some photos. You see I've got, by default, it will add some photos for you. We can do some different styling. Styles are things we're going to cover in the next training class, but we can also change out the photos. So we can make them kidsy photos, do whatever you want. And again, we'll get more into the styles and the content management aspect in the next training class at 4 today. But again, as far as adding content to the page, it's literally just a matter of deciding what it is you want to add, and you drag it out to the page. When we're going to build out a table or an accordion message, or accordion of maybe links and things. Just simply drag it out to the page, and there it is on your page. Now we can resize it by clicking it, and just like in PowerPoint, we can change the sizes of things. We can change the order of things by dragging and dropping, so we can put it down on the bottom. Now my text is under that. We want to put my slider at the top, we can just simply drag it to the top, and now it's at the top. So we have the ability to drag and drop and move things around really quickly and easily. So it's much more friendly, easier to use, easy to manage sizes and whatnot just by dragging and dropping. So you've got a lot of control now over how your content looks and where it's laid out. So we're going to talk about where it's laid out when we talk about rows and columns. But let's quickly go down a few of the other things in your website on the left-hand side. Talk about your content manager. And this is your file manager where you can upload all kinds of files for your website, unlimited files. Click on Manage Files, upload any kind of file, and drag it directly out to the website. Or click Choose Files and go out and grab one. Choose Files, just go out here and grab one and pull it from your website. But what's really cool is now you can link this directly to your Dropbox or your Google Drive or wherever else it is that you want to pull your files from. So you can link this to wherever you happen to keep your files really, really quickly and easily. So that's a really, really nice new feature. And all the files that are in your Dropbox or in your Google Drive will now be available in your website just by clicking on whichever location you keep your files. So that's really cool. You can also upload images. Upload as many images as you want. You can create different folders for your images. Your images will automatically be compressed. So if you upload a 10 meg file, don't worry about it. Go crazy. It will automatically be compressed and optimized for the web, so you don't have to worry about that. If you want to create new folders for all your images, down here at the bottom, we have a little Manage Images button. If I click that, now I get this option that says Add a Folder. You don't get the Add a Folder button unless you click Manage Images. So if I click Add Folder, now I want to create some band folders, or some different folders. I'll add a folder for football. Add a folder for, I don't know, what the heck, I did choir earlier. Let's do it again, choir. So we can add folders, and we can even add subfolders. Add a subfolder, my subfolder. So you can get crazy with your files. I can drag it right, and now it's under my choir folder. So just like we managed pages by dragging them, we can also organize your photos the same way. So if you have band and you want to create marching band, and let's create a symphonic band, and we want to put them under band, let's just drag them up there and move them to the right, and now they'll be under band, and move it to the right, and now we have subfolders for band under band. So, and from that point we can just click on it and click on Upload Images and go grab all our photos for that particular folder. If you do need to rename a folder or any of these, just click on it. On the right hand side you get the option to rename it, and our band, whatever it is you need to change it to, you can do that as well. So you're always able to manage your folders by clicking on rename on the right hand side, and that's it. So so you can see we can add a lot of different things in, or manage a lot of different things in your website. One thing I recommend to do is to first go up to your business content, and what this does is allows you to fill in on some of the shortcut information for your website, such as your phone number, addresses, email addresses, different social media accounts, different physical addresses. And the reason is that once you've populated this information, if you go and add an email button later, for example, if you just want to add a button that says click here to email me, it will automatically have that email address there for you. So it's really cool if you pre-populated it with your specific information. So take a minute and do that under your content manager. Click on business content, and then just fill in the blanks. Maybe you want to put in some specific text about you guys, overview, services. These are things that will help you from a search engine standpoint. Any specific images, such as your logo, any collections of photos that you want to add. So it's kind of cool that you can create a really robust library of information for your specific school now. So that's a new and improved piece as well. And there's also a find and replace. So one thing we've had in the past is folks change their phone numbers or they change their address. And it's been kind of a challenge because you come to us and say, can you guys change my information? Can you change my phone number? You can do it yourself. quick and easy. Quick. Go find and replace whatever that number is, replace all, and you're done. So it's kind of cool to be able to do that. For example, my phone number up here at the top, I want to change that to 867-53009. Oh, my keyboard works. Replace all. Did I do it? Oh, actually, it didn't work because that's actually not in the. That's a different story. Anyhow, anywhere that you've linked that information or utilized that information, you can do that. The reason it didn't change in this header area is I've used actually a different module for that. So anyhow, so your content area is a really robust area for all of your photos, images, files. Again, upload as many as you want. Go absolutely crazy. Personalization, we're not going to talk about this much, but just know that we can do different pop-ups for different events, maybe different promotions. Maybe you want to put a school closure message up because you closed due to weather, or you just out for the spring break, or whatever it may be. You can do pop-ups. You can do lots of different special information based on dates and times, or even devices that people are visiting your website. Lots of different things you can do for your website. So that's all your personalization stuff. We don't have time to even touch this right now, but just know that that's there. And we can do a lot of fun stuff with it. We'll try to cover that in the next training. It's on my outline. We'll see if we can get to it. However, let's go down the list a little bit more to burn up time here. There is a school store option, and you can add a store to your school. Now, by default, that school store is only 10 products initially right now. And to add that, just simply click Add Your Store, and it'll just walk you through the process of setting up that store. If you need more options or more items to sell in your store, give us a call. Hit us up at campuscontact.com/support, or hit that little chat button at the bottom, and we'll walk you through that part as well. There is a cost after the 10 items, and I personally don't know what that cost is, but just know that you can add a store for now, and then we can. Now the blog, there is a blog option, and it's a great blog. There is no cost for that, but you can add a blog and start blogging now, and it's a great blogging tool that allows you to add photos and text and all kinds of information. So it's a really, really cool blog that you can do a lot with. In fact, we have our own blog. If you haven't seen our blog, take a minute and come over and see our new blog, and you'll learn a little bit about us. Of course, this is a new website, so there's not a whole lot of information on it yet, but blogging is really nice, and the blog content is really, really well done. It's easy, super easy to manage. So you can create your own blog for as many people as you want. You can have as many different blogs as you want for different departments, maybe the superintendent, principal, whatever, and you can do that. So last are the settings, and this is where you can't really break anything, but you may not need to mess with it at all. Totally up to you. So your site icons, for example, your favicon, you can change that yourself now. That's that little icon that's in your browser in the tab. In our case, it's the little double C icon, but yours might be, I don't know, a warrior head, or I don't know, an alligator, or whatever your school logo is. So you can put your icon, your favicon, up there in the top right hand, or in the top of your browser, and access it there. You can also change your social network image, such as your Facebook or your LinkedIn image. So that's pretty cool, so that you can manage it right in here. And we'll talk in a second about your progressive web app, making your website an actual app, which we can do. And to do that, you'll probably want a specific icon to show up on their mobile device and tablet. And so whatever that icon is, whether maybe it's the same as your favicon, or you've got a different logo you want to use for your app on your tablet, you can do that as well. So you just click on there, go upload it. Maybe you want to use one of these that's already created. There, we'll just use that one. So you can do whatever you want. That's now going to be the icon on mobile and tablet. So you can change that as needed. Your URL, you can change that URL to whatever it needs to be. Now, generally only the site administrators, the district level folks, have this option. So you may not have the site URL option available to you. That really depends on your level of rights. If you don't see it, don't sweat it. You're not missing much. Same with the SSL. We will generally set up the SSL certificate for you. All sites now have a SSL certificate. and it's just for added security. There's also the SEO link that I mentioned earlier. This is at the site level, not the page level. So we're dealing with the website title and the website description and site keywords, which are optional. So put in something about your site. We are such and such school in Georgia, and this is us, and we're awesome. And your site title, welcome to such and such school, and brief information. And it'll tell you how many characters you can add up here. 60 characters there, 320 characters there. So just start adding it, and it'll tell you if you've added too much. But that part is pretty important for you, to make sure that you put in your SEO information. Google Analytics, if you use Google Analytics, which you don't really need to now because ours has it for you, you can post the tracker code that Google Analytics gives you in here, and it'll start tracking your website. If you want to create a URL redirect for whatever reason, you can do that here. I can't imagine most folks needing that. And if you needed to manage the header HTML information, which I showed you earlier at the page settings, you can do that at the site level. And last, or not last, but next is your backup. So every time you hit the republish button, it will automatically make a backup of your website. You can remember I did that a few minutes ago to show you how the website looked live, and it of course took a snapshot. Now I can roll it back to any previous version just by clicking restore, and it will restore that website back to any previous version. You see we've got quite a few of them there. So every time you hit publish or republish, it's going to take a snapshot and you can roll back to that previous version. So that's pretty cool that you can manage that on your own now as needed and roll it back to any previous version. So I think we had a really cool version back here. Let's roll it back a little bit, just see how it works. You'll see it takes just a second to do that. And that's how my website looked previously using one of our pre-formatted templates. So that's kind of cool. Let's go back into our settings and play with a few more settings. That was the site backup. Site language, again, this is not the public side viewing language. This is not going to change this is going to be I'm sorry, this will be not the editor. This is actually the site itself. So this one's the content. The other one that I showed you earlier was just for the editor. Now this one is actually for the site itself to manage. There's some privacy options. You can create your own privacy page if your school district requires it. Most don't, but if you do require that, by default there is one created. You can click on customize and manage your own privacy page. Go in here and just fill in the blanks and walk through it, and that's pretty much it. You just create your own privacy page as you see fit. You can turn it back off as well. If you want to turn on a cookie notification, that's that little GDPR thing at the bottom that talks about you guys use cookies. If you want to turn that on, you can do that, and you can also manage it as well. Click just by typing the information, whatever it is you want to say there about cookies. You want to preview it, click the preview option, and you'll see there's a little preview top, blah, blah, blah. We use cookies. So there's your sample there, and they can close that and move on. So most schools don't use that, especially in America. That's more of a European thing, but you can turn it on if you'd like. And you also have a 404 page, which is a page that's displayed if there's a broken link in your website. And it's not a broken link by us, but it's a broken link by maybe you or somebody managing your website. If there was maybe you have a large website and you change pages around all the time, and maybe you had a link that pointed to a page, but then you deleted that page. Well, that page isn't there anymore, but the link still is. So the link is going to try to go to that page, but it's not there. Instead of just showing an error, it can show a 404 page, which looks like this by default. And it says, oh, that page you're looking for isn't there. Click the return to home page, and it'll take you right back to the home page. So it's kind of nice to just, to always have a 404 page, and you do by default. So you don't have to do anything with it. If you want to get fun with it, you can manage that 404 page, and there's all kinds of goofy 404 pages out there. If you get a minute, go to Google and type in 404 page, and you'll see what all kind of fun stuff people are doing with their 404 pages. Again, it's just an error page, but it's a friendly error page, and you can manage it as you see fit and do anything you want with it. So it's kind of cool. And last is the Progressive Web App. So this allows you to turn your website into an app that people can install on their cell phones and tablets. So to do that, just turn on Activate Progressive Web App. And this will allow the mobile browsers to prompt them. If you go visit the website now on a mobile device, it will prompt you to install this website if you want as an app. And to do that, basically, all they'll do is say yes. And what will happen is it will download your entire website onto their device as an app so that they don't have to open a browser to read it or see updates to it. As you make changes to your website, those changes will automatically be pushed to the app. So a user in the future won't have to open a browser to see your website. They can just open the app to see your website. So that's pretty cool. And you can name your app whatever you want it to be. Our school, maybe a short name is, well, our school is a pretty good short name. You can add your own icon to it, and of course you can also change the color to it. So that's pretty much it. And again, a progressive web app is a really neat thing that basically, like I said, just turns your website into an app. So instead of opening a browser, it's just going to open your website in an app form, which of course is great because it allows you to push messages to the user, to their website. And it's a little easier and faster than opening a browser, especially if they're using Safari or maybe some third-party website browser on their device. This just makes sure that everybody can access everything by using the app instead, and it's just a really nice way to manage your website. So let's jump back to the very beginning where we first started, and now I'm actually on the wrong template. So I want to restore my website by clicking on Backup Site. I want to go back here to the date that we're at today and restore my new one. So you can see this restore function is pretty cool. It's really fast. It will let you roll it back to any previous version, and it can really save your neck if you've made a bunch of changes and you broke something. Well, you can undo that. So let's talk briefly about managing content, and then we're going to get into that more in the 4 o'clock training session. So your website content area is broken into 3 areas. You've got your header area, which if you mouse over the header, you'll see a little orange box pops up and says, oh, you're now in the header area. Anywhere in this red area on this site is a header area. You don't really want to touch stuff in the header area. You don't want to add new modules or widgets and stuff up there. 90% of the time, 99% of the time, you're not going to want to change anything in your header. If you need to change your logo, you can do that. If you need to change your text stuff, you can do that. But again, for the most part, you're never going to need to touch anything in your header area. Likewise, down at the very bottom of your site, your footer area is generally designed by us, set up by your district administrators, and we generally configure it for you. But although you can get to it, you see if I mouse over it, now says footer, so I know I'm in the footer area down here. You can still change your own logos, you can change your address, you can change whatever it is that you need to change on your own without having to wait on us. So you do have access to it, but again, you won't be adding much content down here because the header and the footers are already pre-designed and pre-configured at the district level for you. So, your 3 areas are your header, your footer, and that just leaves everything in the white area, your content area. And this is where we're going to manage your content. We're really going to get into this at 4 o'clock, but this is where we can manage content in the rows, like we were dragging out widgets earlier, and we can add different columns in here by right-clicking anywhere and add columns. So we're going to manage your content in rows and columns. Not going to be building tables, but we're going to be working on a full responsive site, adding widgets, and we'll talk about a lot of the different widgets. We'll talk about text management, how to add different text and photos, and what all the different widgets do. And then we'll even talk about the design aspect, because there's 2 really important concepts to think about when you're managing your website. One is content, which is king. That's all the stuff you're going to put on your website. What kind of information is on the website? Photos and text and links and documents. That's all content related. And the other aspect is design. And design is, how is it going to look? And so is it going to be blue or yellow or bold or underlined, or what kind of fonts and styles and mouse over effects and all that stuff are we going to have on it? So we're going to talk about content first because content is king and content is the most important thing. But then we're going to show you how to make it pretty, whereas like we're going to take the font like this, maybe make it bold and some different font sizes, make it huge and maybe italics and maybe even some of these many different font options we have now, about 100 different fonts. And so we'll talk about all that fun stuff at the 4 o'clock training. So that's pretty much it for now. High level overview, we talked about the toolbar at the top and all of those functions. We talked about what's at your dashboard and how to access your website. We also talked briefly about some of these options on the left, like the design area where I don't want you to mess with it, even though you can. It's ideal that you don't. Page management, how to add and manage pages, how to access page settings, how to rearrange pages and move pages around. We talked briefly about what the widgets are and how to add them to a page by just dragging them to a page. I didn't mention, as I meant to on my notes, that you can also add widgets by right-clicking anywhere on the page. And in that pop-up, click on Add. Oops, on an area. Come on. I'll just do it right here. If I right-click and go to Add, you'll see I have Add Widget below. And it will tell you, it'll give you some options. It's kind of a shortcut menu to add widgets, whether it's text, images, buttons, or maybe some other kind of widget you want to add. It's all of the same widget options, but it's just right there on the page if you don't like drag and drop. So for some people and some devices, the drag and drop isn't quite as friendly. So they prefer more of a mouse-driven option that allows you to do that instead. So it's really just a matter of personal preference. I like the mouse version so I can right-click. A lot of people really like the drag and drop version. Totally up to you. You can do either one. We also talked about your content management, your business content information, your phone number, email address, blah, 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 all that good stuff about you. You can manage images and files. You can also, of course, even see your forms in here, much like we could see at the dashboard area. We even have a find and replace option too. We just barely skimmed over the personalization options, but just know that it's there where you can create lots of different pop-ups and messages on your website for different uses. We also talked about the store that you can add, the super cool blogs, and went through all of the different settings in your website. So that's a high-level overview of what you can do with the new campus contact system. We haven't even touched, man, we haven't even chipped the iceberg yet. There's so much cool stuff to cover. So come back at 4 o'clock. We're going to create a whole new page. We're going to talk about page sections, which are super cool, which are basically pre-designed little pieces of content that you can add to your site so that you don't have to just add blank widgets and blank modules to your page. You can add pre-designed really cool pieces to your website. We call them sections, and it's just super, super cool. So we'll talk about all of those things later as well. Make sure you come back at the 4 o'clock meeting. And also this class will be recorded and posted on the website, as all training classes are. If you go to campuscontact.com/training, there it is. All classes are recorded and posted on this page. And oops, it doesn't look like very many are yet. So we'll update that and make sure that all of your training is posted there. So if you don't have a chance to make it at 4 o'clock, don't sweat it. We'll record it. We'll put it on there, and it's really the fun class. This was just a high-level overview, and the next one is let's add some stuff. Let's do some cool stuff. Let's animate things, move things around, and really make it look awesome. So make sure you come back at 4 o'clock. We'll see you then. If you have any questions, go ahead right now and hit me up in the live chat. Oh, I see there's one actually already. I don't know when ours will be available for us. You'll know your website is available. We actually have a person who's dedicated. Her name is Terry, and Terry Ferguson is dedicated right now to nothing but getting everybody moved over. We're in the process of moving about 850 sites manually. It's taken a while, and we are building all those websites out for everyone, and it's just a massive, massive undertaking. We've actually hired 50 different temps to help us out, so we've got an army of people working on it. Your site will be ready as soon as we can possibly get to you. We're basically working through each of our own individual servers right now. Started on server 1, we're already in server 2, and some of the server 3 and 4 folks are a little further down the line. So it really depends on what order you are and how quickly we can get to you. Like I said, we're moving as fast as we possibly can, but it's probably, honestly, going to take about a year for us to get all of our schools moved over. I'd like to do it in 6 months. I don't know how realistic that is. We've been doing it for 2 months now, and we've got about 50-something sites out there. So we got a long, long way to go. So anyhow, that's the only question I see at the moment. If anyone else has any other questions, now is a good time to hit it up in the chat. And I'm actually going to open up microphones. If I can figure out how to do that. Hang on with me, and we'll take some questions. Hang on, I can do this. Maybe. Here we are. Unmute all. All right. If anyone has any questions, now is a good time to ask. Otherwise, this will be recorded, and we'll see you at 4 o'clock. Anybody?
Rob.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay. I just realized that I had gotten an email from Terry, and it went to my spam folder. So I had no clue. And I guess it's just because of the change from the email address to the campus contact.
Yes.
But it's just, I know that we need to talk personally about our changeover. So not on this, but I wanted to go ahead and see all the new stuff for this. So do I just need to respond back to her and try and set that up so that we can talk about our changeover from there?
Yes.
Okay.
Ferguson at campuscontact.com, or you can get to me later as well. I'm just Rob at campuscontact.com.
Okay.
And I'll be glad to do that as well. So I am doing all of the designs for everybody. And there are a ton of folks doing redesigns as part of this process of moving over. They're saying, you know, we love the new system. We want to get moved over as fast as we can, but don't bring over my old ugly site. Instead, it's a great time to redesign too.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we are at this point, because we had just gone through, you know, in the last year and updated from the old version and things. But I'll be honest, just talking to the people around here, I want ours to look much better, much nicer, and this is the direction we want to go in.
Sure.
And we'd had some people kind of hesitant to make that move, and none of them want to take over this job. So if I'm going to take over, we're going to make it look really awesome. So
well,
that's kind of where I am.
This is definitely the time to do that. Now, a lot of folks are just going so far as to say, Rob, I hate our old design. Just do it. And they just give it to me, and I just go build them something awesome. And I'm totally fine with that.
Yes.
And I'll show you some on the side that we built. I'll show you some before and afters. So, for example, Saluda. We'll go pick up Saluda.
Okay.
Not the prettiest thing in the world.
Yep.
Kind of whatever. Yep. And so he said, hey, man, we love the new system. Move us over. And so we said, you got it. We'll rebuild it and make it look awesome. So a new website. Considerably different. All right. Much more modern and better styled, and just looks so much better and more functional.
I agree. And that's what that's what I want. And like I said, the people who have previously been in charge are wanting to undertake it. So if I'm going to undertake it, I want it to be modern and looking good.
Awesome. Absolutely. If it's going to have your name on it, it needs to be awesome. So I totally agree. So work with me later. You can just email me, Rob at campuscontact.com, and set up a time, and I'll be glad to work with you and build something beautiful while we get you over.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And we'll see you at 4, right?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Right,
Take care.
Bye.
You got it. Anyone else have any other questions, or we'll just catch up at 4 o'clock?
No, we're all set here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you then. Have a great day. Take care.